Now, after seeing Josh Barr and Tyler Kasak perform the way they did at the Black Knight Invitational, surely Cael Sanderson's ready to set the starting lineup, right? Not necessarily.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Nittany Lions your first listen and watch every single day. My name is Zack Seyko. I'm your host of the show, and we are talking some Penn State wrestling and getting an expert perspective from Jeff Byers himself, the voice of Penn State wrestling, also a morning show host over at Fox Sports 98.7 in State College. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Be a part of this conversation down in the comments section. Let us know your thoughts about Penn State Wrestling's lineup as we are putting it all together with the Black Knight Invitational. A little bit of a break here before they get to Lehigh and Wyoming, but could Cael Sanderson be close to making a decision with this lineup? Of course, we're talking about Tyler Kasak, Alex Facundo, Josh Barr, Lucas Cochran, Jeff. Do you think that Cael is ready to make this decision sooner rather than later, or do they still need to see some more at 157 and 197?
Well, I mean, I think the competition will continue. I think for now it settles the lineup, but it's not. I wouldn't read anything into any kind of certainty about how things are going to look when March rolls around. But certainly, I think for Tyler Kasak and Josh Barr, this was a big step toward solidifying their roles as starters on the team. And again, these are always tough situations because these guys are obviously all really good. They've gotten a lot better. It's just, the nature of the sport. I mean, it's not something that good wrestlers and good teams are unfamiliar with. Doesn't mean that it's easy, and it's tough because, I think Cael and this coaching staff, they're genuine when they say they're here to help the kids achieve their goals. Well, obviously, if you have 20 to 25 kids in your room that their goal is a national title, no matter how much you help, there's a good number of them that just aren't going to have that dream realized. And so it is tough when you have guys as good as Lucas Cochran and Alex Facundo and as accomplished as they are for the moment, again, taking a back seat. Again, I think those competitions will continue throughout the season, but I think this is a big leg up, I will say, to being the starter long-term here for Tyler Kasak and Josh Barr. And part of it, depends now on how they go out and compete. And I just have no doubt that both of those guys are going to go out and compete at a very high level, very consistently.
Well, and it feels like Cael Sanderson and the coaching staff kind of had an inclination at least. This was pointed out, so kudos to the comment section for pointing this out, that Tyler Kasak wrestling at the Black Knight Invitational already took away that red shirt opportunity, since there was no way for him to wrestle unattached. At an invitational, you either wrestle attached or you don't wrestle at all. So they didn't leave Kasak at home. They brought him there knowing full well that the red shirt opportunity is off the table here, even before that hypothetical championship matchup between him and Facundo. So Penn State clearly knew in advance that we're not going to redshirt Tyler Kasak one way or another. Was that so? There has to be something that Kasak is doing in the mat room to have gotten to that point, even if the results flipped and Facundo does win in that match at the Black Knight Invitational.
Well, I think, Zach, and maybe this isn't as well known as I guess maybe I think it is, but
okay.
This Penn State program and the way Cael Sanderson operates, it is largely to leave decisions up to the kids. Again, the coaching staff views its role as, hey, we're here to support you in what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. Now, that doesn't mean that there's never conversations where like, hey, man, we could really use you.
For the future.
Pull you out of redshirt or something like that. But with Tyler Kasak, in particular. I mean, this was Tyler's. He did not want a red shirt. He was adamant that he wants to be the guy, and if he's not the guy, so be it. But I mean, he had no interest in red shirting this season. And it's the same thing with weight classes. You know, I've had some people talk to me during the off season, you know, how much convincing did it take the staff to convince this guy or that guy to go to this weight? And I'm just telling you that it was zero. Now, kids may come to the coaching staff and say, man, where do you think my best option is? Where do you think I can be my best? And they're going to give an honest assessment. But they really don't go and say, hey, Levi, we need you to move up 2 weight classes. Would you do that? Or Josh Barr, we need you to move up to 197. It's the kids that determine it. Now, the kids then can, I mean, they're looking around, they see what their teammates are doing, they're talking with each other. And again, I'm not saying there's no consultation with the coaches, but this isn't a situation where the coaches are dictating, okay, you're going to go here, you need to make sure you're losing the weight or gaining the weight. It really is the kids are driving the decisions on largely on red shirting and the weight classes. Now, again, a lot of the freshmen, as they come in, I mean, they're having conversations and the coaches are saying, hey, I think your best option here is to red shirt. And again, in most cases, they're looking at the roster and they're recognizing and that's kind of their plan going in as well. But with Tyler Kasak, again, in particular, I mean, Kasak had zero interest in redshirting this season, and so he didn't, and obviously he went out and competed at a very high level, and really, I thought was as impressive as maybe anybody in that lineup at the Black Knight Invitational.
Well, he certainly backed it all up with these performances. I mean, starting off this campaign with a top 5 win against Peyton Keller of Ohio, and then just a convincing victory recently against Alex Facundo. Jeff, let's address that. Coming up next here on the show, we'll talk about Josh Barr getting 2 major decisions against 2 elite teammates in Lucas Cochran and Connor Mirasola, and then Tyler Kasak continuing to stack these impressive wins at these tournaments, at these competitions that are high profile, and they certainly did not disappoint over the course of this weekend. We'll talk about what impressed specifically about Barr and Kasak coming up after the break. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier than before. Gametime Picks filters out all of the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. You can go to the Gametime app or go to gametime.co, and let's look at some Penn State wrestling tickets for when they're back in Rec Hall against the Wyoming Cowboys. And the top deals on Gametime already listed for me. How about this super deal? Section S3U, row D, all in pricing, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. $67 per ticket. If you're looking for the cheapest price, the lowest price on tickets, Gametime has that too. Section S5U, row C, all in pricing, no surprise fees, $47 a piece. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And today's episode is also brought to you by Home Field Apparel. Head over to homefieldapparel.com right now because there is a Black Friday sale going on. 30% off the entire site. That is right. 30% off the entire site with this promo code BFCM24. That is BFCM24 for 30% off the entire site. But if you're looking for that Penn State gear to get 30% off, whether it's Penn State football, Penn State basketball, Penn State wrestling, Penn State hockey, your favorite Penn State gear is available 30% off for this Black Friday sale at homefieldapparel.com. Just use promo code BFCM24. Home Field is the go-to for premium collegiate apparel crafted with comfort in mind, featuring vintage designs that will make you the envy of any tailgate. With over 100 180 schools to choose from, including Penn State, there's something for every fan. So head on over to homefieldapparel.com for their Black Friday sale. It's the most ambitious sale to date. 30% off site-wide with code BFCM24. Head over to homefieldapparel.com. Use that code BFCM24 from now until Tuesday, December 3rd for 30% off site-wide. That is homefieldapparel.com. Josh Barr had probably the most positive consequential weekend because of the way and these weren't 1, 2, 3-point victories. These were major decisions in a close battle with fellow teammate Lucas Cochran, and then somebody who I think has all the potential in the world in Connor Mirasola. And to have those kind of statement wins where it's a major decision, but it's also you shut out one opponent and the only point that's scored against you is the one escape point by Lucas Cochran in that championship bout at 197. Jeff, you everybody, most of it, people who follow the team, follow wrestling closely, know that Josh Barr is an absolute hammer when it comes to defense. But I think it's gotten to a whole nother perspective, a whole nother level with just how elite Josh Barr is defensively.
Well, and it's one of the things, Zach, that I think this program just does a remarkable job of, which is pretty much across the board. These guys jump levels from one season to the next. And again, it doesn't matter where you're at, how elite you are in one season. It's noticeable when you get to the next season. Oh man, this guy is a lot better. And again, I've talked about over the years, but I mean, you've had 2 or 3 time national champions, and then you come back in the fall. It's like, well, how much better could they be? Oh man, they're a lot better. And sometimes it's just getting more consistent and getting bonus point wins and being a truly dominant force. Josh Barr, for some reason, he seems to be flying under the radar nationally, and I'm not exactly sure why that is, because to me, he proved last year that he is one of the better upper weights. Now, I realize he was at 84 last year, but yes, he was one of the better upper weights in the country. Again, I know he was not the starter last year, but he clearly was a really, really special talent, and he really has jumped levels from where he was at the end of last year to the early part of this season. And I just think he is one of the many elite guys on this team. Yeah. And again, I've been saying for a while, I'm not predicting, I'm not saying there's going to be 10 finalists or 10 national champions, but I legitimately think when they're healthy, Penn State has a wrestler at each weight class that is capable of contending for a national title. And that includes Braden Davis. That includes Josh Barr. I mean, it includes all 10 starters. And for some reason, again, different guys are getting different recognition in the early part of the season. I'm just telling you, if they stay healthy, by the time March rolls around, Penn State will have 10 guys that are capable of going out and competing with anybody in the country. And certainly Josh Barr is right there on that list. I mean, he is an elite wrestler, and he just has a complete game. He's great at getting out from underneath. As you said, he has terrific defense, but he's got a great offensive arsenal, and his top game is a difference maker.
Yeah. And that's and something that I've already pointed out already, but I want to hash it out with you, is the fact that if Josh Barr is doing this now, early in this second season for him, because he's only a redshirt freshman, he's only going to get better. Like, Josh Barr has not reached his peak. He has not reached his highest potential. So if he's pulling off major decisions against guys in the Penn State wrestling room that know him well, that know his tricks, that know his arsenal, as you pointed out, and he's still getting 10 to 11 to 1, 11 to nothing type of results against guys that would be in the top 20, top 15 rankings if they wrestled anywhere else, speaks volumes, because we haven't even seen the best of Josh Barr yet.
No, I think that's very true. And but again, he is just a very special talent, and he works his tail off and just keeps getting better and better. figuring some little things out, trying new things, figuring out what does and doesn't work with his game. And again, that's what all of the great ones that have come through here under Cael Sanderson do. They're not afraid to challenge themselves. They're not afraid to, kind of think outside the box for ways to improve. And, and that's one of the great things I think just about this room is you're going to see different guys try different things. And it's like, oh man, let me try that. And again, sometimes it's like, that's not for me. That's something that only a Mitchell Messenbrink or a Levi Haynes can do. And then other times it's like, oh man, that's going to be a nifty little trick to add to my tool belt. And I just think, again, up and down the lineup, you can say that about these guys, but I just think Josh Barr has really figured some things out here in terms of what works for him and where he can improve and continue to develop. But that's the other thing is he's just such a coachable kid. And, he's willing to accept that, as good as he is, there's a lot to learn and he wants to learn. I mean, he's eager to, all right, let's find some new ways to, again, not just win, but to figure out how to dominate and get bonus points on the board.
Let's move back to Tyler Kasak because he put together a convincing 5-2 victory over Alex Facundo, led all of the match for the most part, got the initial takedown. Facundo got the escape, but Tyler Kasak didn't give Facundo anything for the remainder of the match. Jeff, you saw it in person, but can you help us understand how Tyler Kasak has even improved on what he did a season ago, where was supposed to redshirt at 141, obviously has the door open up with the unfortunate Shane Van Ness injury, and obviously Shane Van Ness is fully back to form here, but then finishes at third after he had to wrestle all the way back through to even get to that third place bout at the NCAA championships at a weight that he wasn't supposed to be at, and then moves up another weight class here. I mean, Tyler Kasak, when I watch him wrestle, and whether that's in person or on these stream feeds, is he just looks so much stronger than everybody else. It's just the pure brute strength from Tyler Kasak. What else are you seeing from him that gives him a complete game right now?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One is his confidence is just exceptionally high. And I think, it's one of my themes over the years is that in sports in general and wrestling in particular, confidence is such a big part of the game. Confidence to try different things. And that confidence is bred from doing it repeatedly in practice, feeling comfortable that you know what you're doing, you know how to make it work. But that confidence is backed up when you start getting the results that Tyler Kasak had a year ago. So I think, it's not that he wasn't confident before he took third place at Nationals. It's just that finish reinforced, yes, I am as good as I thought I could be, and now I know I can be even better. And I just think having the mentality that it's kind of national championship or bust here this season, and having that since last March is kind of a driving force for him. And yeah, he is a really competitive kid and a really, as you said, strong, just physically and mentally strong wrestler. And he just has that deep inner belief that he's going to find a way to get it done when he needs to get it done. And he's improved in all elements of his game. I mean, the technical expertise is certainly there, and it continues to develop. But I mean, he is a really extremely fundamentally sound wrestler, and he's not going to be beat by getting caught in something silly or just being lackadaisical in a particular situation. I mean, he just is always on in terms of his focus and his drive. And and listen, that's not to say Alex Facundo is an exceptionally good wrestler as well.
It takes a lot to beat Facundo.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where Kasak looked obviously terrific on Sunday. That doesn't mean if they met again, today or tomorrow, that it would be the same result. And you see that a lot in wrestling, where a guy on a particular day wins big, and then the next time the two wrestlers meet, it's like, oh man, that was just a 1-point match, or it can go the other way. So, but I do think Kasak right now is kind of feeling it, and his confidence is soaring. And I think, if there is a concern right now for Facundo, it would be the confidence level. Like, does he truly believe that he is a guy that can go out and win a national title this year? And I don't know the answer to that. He obviously is going to have to kind of figure that out for himself with the help of the coaching staff. And I've been saying all along, I really truly believe that either of those guys, if given the opportunity, is capable of going out and winning a title. I think both of those guys, again, on any given day, as good as anybody in the country at that weight.
And like I said about Josh Barr, same thing. If Tyler Kasak is doing this now, putting together top 5 wins, winning convincingly against somebody that knows his game very well, and Alex Facundo, the best is still yet to come for a Tyler Kasak as well. And speaking of young wrestlers in the Penn State mat room, Luke Lilledahl, Lightning Luke, showed his potential, but also I know the result between Connor Mirasola and Josh Barr. But both the Mirasola twins and Zack Ryder, as well as some other Penn State wrestlers that are flying under the radar here, they had some impressive performances at the Black Knight Invitational. We'll talk about what else stood out from the weekend over up at West Point, coming up after the break. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet just $5 and you will get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more. And it's all on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. And let's look at the lines for Penn State football versus Maryland. Penn State is a 24.5-point favorite, minus 4,000 on the money line. They are pretty hefty favorites here. If you're liking Maryland, plus 1,400 on the money line. The total is set at 50.5. If you like those lines, just head over to FanDuel.com, and remember, you will get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Again, that is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, Luke Lilledahl has arrived, and Intermat clearly rewarded him because he was somebody that was unranked in the preseason, then snuck in at number 33, and now has bumped all the way up to number 16, if I'm not mistaken here. Yes, number 16. And it's because of the way that, yes, not only winning, but Tech falling a relatively top 20 opponent in Charlie Farmer of Army. I mean, that's the number 21 ranked wrestler, and you go out and win 19-4 as a true freshman. I mean, Jeff, Luke Lilledahl is as good as advertised. Is he better than that? Is he honestly even better than what he's been advertised as?
Yeah, I mean, he's just an exceptional wrestler, and I think he is as college ready as any of these freshmen that Penn State has had in recent years. He's just competed at the highest level, certainly in our country and even internationally, and had a ton of success. And he's one of those guys that is kind of the complete package. He has just tremendous raw, natural, God-given ability. I mean, there's things that he can do that very few can do just athletically, just with natural gifts. But he also has that tremendous work ethic, that passion, and the humility to be very coachable and want to learn. And again, when you get that package, that's when you get the David Taylors or the Jason Knolfs or the Bo Nichols. And again, part of me doesn't. I don't want to get carried away here.
Yeah.
This is
He's only
a young
three,
man that
four
is.
matches in.
Yeah, we're literally just starting his career, and I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be a 4-time NCAA finalist or multiple-time national champion, but I'm telling you, all of the ingredients are there. He has that
Capability
type of
is
ability.
there, yes.
He has the work ethic to back that up, and again, he's a kid that listens to the coaches, believes that that there's a long way to go, and like a lot of these kids, I mean, his goal. Yes, he wants to win national titles. He wants to be part of a team national championship, but he's also wrestling with the idea of I want to be, long term a world champion, an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, these are the aspirations that a lot of these guys in the room have. So this is all kind of a process. It's an important part of the process, and I don't mean that he's not focused on winning national titles,
right.
But the idea is to keep building, keep getting better and better, and to be somebody that can be, again, a representative for the United States for many years to come.
And in the present, I think 125 is there's no Spencer Lee type. Figueroa's defending the title. Matt Ramos is there. I know all of that, but 125 is certainly wide open for a Luke Lilledahl to be right in the thick of it. And that's why you say all 10 starters have a shot at the NCAA title. Guys who, again, will not be in the starting lineup this season, but they are the future of Penn State wrestling. The Mirasola twins, both Connor Mirasola and Cole Mirasola. Now, Connor, definitely, not the most flattering result against Josh Barr, but plenty of other promising results from Connor Mirasola at 197. Has the offensive game that is going to be so tough for opponents to deal with. I can understand why Penn State is redshirting him now, Jeff, because his defensive game needs a little bit of work in folk style, which is understandable why someone like Connor Mirasola is able to at least have a respectable match with Aaron Brooks and go out and defeat somebody like Max Dean as a high school wrestler. Like, all the potential is there for Connor Mirasola, and then we'll get to Cole.
Yeah, Connor is a very gifted wrestler, and again, we're talking about true freshmen, and regardless of the accomplishments and accolades you come in with, there is a transition. And I just remember watching David Taylor that the first semester he was at Penn State, and Cael Sanderson was getting the better of him, and there were some other guys in the room that were very good wrestlers, but that they were getting the better of him. And then as kind of January hit, and this is during his redshirt year. I mean, you weren't seeing it out in public, but it's like, oh man, this guy, he is figuring things out, and he started dominating some of the guys that he was losing to the first couple of months. And I'm not saying Mirasola is going to dominate Josh Barr by the end of the season, but it is a learning process. And when you have somebody that's been in the room, that's been out there competing at this level, learning from this coaching staff for an extra year than what you've had, that the results are what they were. But yeah, Mirasola, to me, again, that was much more about just how far along Josh Barr is right now, than any kind of condemnation of Connor Mirasola and his stature or his ability. And Connor is going to be just fine. He's just keeps coming, and he's got, again, a lot of tools to work with, and he'll get better and better, and he's going to make that. He'll continue to improve this season, and then he'll make that leap. I have no doubt between the end of this season and next. But he's a guy that's just going to keep getting better and better day by day, week by week here. And even Cole Mirasola, I thought looked absolutely terrific at heavyweight.
And he's handling the weight change well, because that's the only thing I wanted to point out about him is that, okay, he was wrestling around 205, 210 in terms of pounds, 97, I think it was 97 kilos. And then, but you're making, like, Greg Kirkfleet is wrestling at 240, 245, give or take. And Gable Steveson weighed in just most recently against Campbell at 277 pounds. So it seems like Cole Mirasola is handling the weight change pretty well, at very quickly early on.
Yeah, and I think he's being smart about the transition. He's, trying to put on good weight and
Yeah.
doing this the right way. And he realizes, it's a process, and he does have the year to work with. He knows he's redshirting. He's learning a lot from, what a room to be a freshman heavyweight in, where you have Greg Kirkley to work with that's on the team.
Yeah.
But then you have Jake Varner, you have Kyle Snyder, you have Cael Sanderson. I mean, it's pretty hard to beat the workout partners and the mentors that he has in that room right now. So, again, I think he's really good right now. I just think he's going to be at an entirely different level by the time, he emerges as the starter next season for this team at heavyweight. But I think, if anything, at least in my mind, he's a little ahead of schedule right now in terms of making the transition both to college and to a new weight class.
Certainly seems that way from the bird's eye view. And I think the same could be said for Zack Ryder at 184. I mean, Penn State has an interesting option now after Carter Starachi vacates that spot. I mean, Zack Ryder goes out, defeats a top 20 opponent. At this point, as a true freshman, since he's not in the starting lineup, but he would be a top 20 wrestler currently if he was anywhere else.
Well, there's a couple of interesting things to me about Zack, and certainly an elite wrestler in his own right, and I think a guy that, much like all of those upper weights that we just talked about, I mean, the workout partners and the opportunities he has to learn from
same gauntlet,
from others, And the thing is, Carter Starachi has kind of taken him under his wing, and they have forged, I think, a very special bond and a special friendship. And I think the competitiveness, and it's not like Zack Ryder needed help in becoming a great competitor.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
He was just fine. Thank you very much before he got here. But listen, Carter just has a different gear to him in terms of that competitive drive than just about anybody I've ever been around. And I just think being around that for Zack Ryder and getting the feel of a Carter Starachi, who's going to go down as one of the historically great wrestlers in the sport, is a tremendous benefit here for Zack Ryder. And again, even without Starachi, and he's just a great wrestler. All of the attributes I've talked about with all of the other guys, you can apply to Zack Ryder as well. These are just guys that really have a passion for the sport, certainly some great God-given ability, but they love working at their craft. They love learning about the craft, and they're just going to keep getting better and better. And, I've had some people ask me, well, where does Zack fit in the lineup? I don't know. There's a lot of things we got to see how they play out. I just know Zack Ryder is a really special wrestler, and somehow, some way, this is going to play out where I think he's in the lineup, and I get it. I mean, I know the numbers game, and I'm aware of it. Zack Ryder is a really special kid, and again, we can say that about, and I am saying it about probably, again, 15, 16 kids on this roster, and there's only 10 starting spots. But Zack really is something special, and I think you got a pretty good taste of that at the Black Knight Invitational.
It's always great when we get to chat about Penn State wrestling with you, Jeff. He is the voice of Penn State wrestling, Jeff Byers. He's also morning show host over at 98.7 The Fox. All the links will be down in the description for people to check out Jeff's work outside of his Penn State wrestling coverage. Of course, you can listen to all the matches. He's going to be back in action for Lehigh in just in a week's time here as Penn State wrestling gets a chance to get an early break in the season. We take no breaks here when we're talking about Penn State wrestling. So, Jeff, thanks so much for the time, the insight, perspective. As always, it's great to chat with you, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Zach. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everybody watching.